This video is intended for viewers aged 13 and up. If you are not 13 yet, please leave.
Transformers gods! Cheetor just told me that they are making new Beast Wars figures. Is that true? Yeah, we've been kind of doing it for like a year now. Haven't you heard the news? Then can you give me a new figure? Yeah, I thought we did already, but I guess the replacement process skipped over you. You specifically, whatever. Give me a sec. I'm ready. And don't let me be voiced by Ron Perlman for a third time. Alright, here you go, man. Oh, goodness, what's happening? I feel weird and the camera's shaking. What the? My alt mode. It's a gorilla again, and I have my swords. Thank you, Transformers gods, for giving me this second chance at life. I will not squander it. Yeah, don't mention it. Just make sure your movie sells in like a year, and we'll be able to make more forms like this, or whatever. Hello everybody, my name's Kanohii, and obviously, we're back with another random Beast Wars review that is lower quality and effort than most of my reviews have been this summer. Today we are looking at the leader of the Maximals, and one of the first Voyagers in the Kingdom line, though there is another one that we will not be looking at, because I might make a full review for him, because it is something I could talk about, because it's something that's pretty interesting for me in discovering something. But yeah, today we're looking at the Kingdom Voyager class Optimus Primal. Yeah. Obviously, we're starting in his beast mode, because it just makes sense to start there. And starting there, the painting and the sculpting here looks honestly fantastic. I love the sculpting work on the gorilla mode, especially the fur. Like, if you can notice, there's this like interesting texture that's not on a lot of Transformers figures. I can put them up with a bunch of my other figures. I'm not going to do that because, again, we're not doing size comparisons. And I've noticed that this is kind of a rougher texture, which honestly kind of does a very good job portraying the kind of furry look, I guess, because he's a gorilla. But yeah. And the painting is honestly super clean, but again, we'll get there. But to start off, let's look at that face. His face is that of a gorilla. Again, it's pretty nicely sculpted. There isn't too much paint other than the eyes, and I kind of wish the eyes had a bit more life. And again, I do kind of wish the face was a bit more animation accurate in this instance. I don't know. That face is just really expressive. I know it's really cheap looking, but it's expressive, guys. But yeah. I think this head looks pretty neat. Again, it could be better. It's got nice sculpting, it's got nice colors, and yeah, overall I think it's nice. A lot of the same can be said for the arms. However, something that's I think is a really nice detail is the way that the shoulder pads work. In transformation, these are shoulder pads, by the way. In transformation, they kind of hinge and connect to two different parts of the arm, depending on which mode you're in. I think that does a very good job of, because of course it's meant to hide the little white bits on the arm, and I think it does a very good job of making it so that these arms are kind of course it's not as connected here on this mode, but it allows it to fit way better, and it works better than certain shoulder pads, which we'll get to later this week, I think. But yeah, these arms, again, are also very nice. One of my favorite parts of these arms are these hands. They do hinge open, which is an articulation thing, but I love the way that the fur kind of transitions into the hand with, like, the paint. It's a very good design detail. Now, unorthodoxly, we're moving on to the back legs, because you can see the back of the feet, or the robot feet. It's unavoidable. You can mess with them, but not too much. But yeah, otherwise, again, the legs have the same kind of sculpting notes that I said about the arms. But again, which is why we're going to kind of briefly go over them. Again, the toes are very similar to the hands. They do have hinging articulation and whatnot, which is very nice. However, I don't think the hiding is done as well because of the butt. I think it shows a bit too much, and it could be done better. Now we gotta get to the chest. However, when we get to the chest, I want to do something good. As you can see, he's on all fours right now in kind of a more natural gorilla position. However, if you want, you can make him more accurate to the show and have him standing on two legs, which is done like so. You move the arms down to his side, like so. I'm gonna zoom out for this. But yeah, you move his arms to the side like so, and move his hands into a more human-like position, like so. Then you hinge the legs down, like so, I guess, and yeah. And then from there, you just hinge the head down, and yeah, there we go. We have standing on two legs, Optimus Primal in gorilla mode. I don't think this looks as good as him on all fours, mainly because of the head. It doesn't really have a neck, so it's always slightly looking up. But the chest, again, looks very good. It's got that texturing, which I think is very cool. It looks like the skin, and I love the kind of rippling muscle texture. I also love, like, this little fur loincloth, which looks very nice. But again, the back, you can see the kibble on the back of the legs, but it's honestly pretty kibble-free because he's going from a humanoid figure to a different humanoid figure. Yeah. Yeah, I think it works pretty well. I do like him a bit more on all fours because I think that's kind of the intended mode for this, but you can get it to work in his kind of more animation-accurate form. We're not going to go into accessories just yet. We're going to do that in robot mode. So that means we're going to get into articulation. We'll be kind of zoomed out for this articulation because it's beast mode, and it's going to be pretty similar to the robot mode. One of the more notable bits is the head, which can hinge all the way up, which is kind of on a hinge. Can hinge down that far, but it doesn't swivel, which is pretty annoying, but that's kind of a curse of the way it transforms. The arms are the same as the robot arms. You do swivel, and you can hinge up, but you can't hinge up all the way or else the shoulder pad will get locked up. Bicep swivel, single jointed elbow, hand swivel, opening hand. We'll go more in depth in robot mode, I swear. Not really a waist swivel, though it is there. It does kind of break the illusion on the back. The legs can move forward. They hinge forward like so because, you know, they're the beast legs. And they're meant to hinge up forward so that you can have him in monkey mode. He does have a boot cut a bit, and he does get that, and the feet can move. The monkey feet can hinge toe up. It's very hard, though. And I just prefer leaving them down like that so we can get more stability. So yeah, in Beast Mode, Primal's pretty articulatable, but there are limitations due to him being in Beast Mode. It's a bit annoying, but it's deal-withable. But hey, this isn't my preferred mode anyways. I think it's honestly kind of a bit annoying, a bit ugly. But yeah, this isn't my preferred mode because my preferred mode is his robot mode. But to get there, we do have to transform him. His arms and legs are basically in their right spot. However, with the arms, you're going to want to hinge up the shoulder pads, like so, until you hear a bit of a click, because that means they've clicked into place as shoulder pads, which is a very smart design decision. I'm going to praise that later, but not right now. Then we get to the back where we'll hinge this up a little bit for now, so that we can swivel around the waist, so that we have the robot feet here, and then you're going to want to lock these in, though it gets more articulation if you leave them unlocked, and they don't like to stay locked anyways. We'll get there. We'll get there. From there, you're going to want to unhinge the backpack. It's a bit of a tough ride, and once you've done that, you'll be able to access the head in a pretty cool manner. But first, while we're here, we're going to want to take the monkey pecs and flip them over so that we have Primal's chest pad thing. For here, for the sake of the dramatic head reveal, you can take this, swivel it around, and hinge it and peg it into the back, though it is a bit easier when it's just kind of on properly. And yeah. From there, you're going to want to take the monkey head and swivel it around like so that it's kind of looking back like that. That's so that you can make room to hinge this up, swivel it around, and hinge it back down like that. From there, this will give you a bit of trouble maybe, but you can hinge out the blasters. Let me do that off screen real quick. You can see like this. You might want to use a little tool. I used a Lego part because why not? From there, we get to do the ever so lovely folding up the entire back. Dramatic monkey head reveal. Let me get him cleaned up so that we can look at him in robot mode. And again, I gotta say, in robot mode, the painting and the sculpting on this figure is fan-freaking-tastic. I love how this figure looks. There are a couple issues, which we'll get to, mainly one big issue, but again, we'll get there. But I love this figure. Overall, again, the fur texturing and the skin texturing adds an air of premiumness to this entire figure that cannot be outmatched. However, there's a lot of paint revealed here that just adds that little extra bit of detail, little extra bit of premiumness that really takes this mode over the top for me personally. Starting off at the head, I mean, that's Optimus Primal right there. The exposed lips, the white face mask, the red eyes, the honestly pretty large head for the body. This feels very accurate to that original show. It looks great. It looks just like Optimus Primal should, in my opinion at least. The painting here is done very cleanly. You can see the earwings are painted in silver. He's got his little head vents crest thing. But yeah, again, the eyes are very well done. They are very prominent and look very nice. Overall, I just think this head is amazing, and you can kind of see these cannons here. Again, you can kind of hide them in the back in a similar way to untransforming them, but it's more convenient just to leave them out here like this, you know? Moving on to the chest, we get to the biggest problem with his figure. This figure. The chest. As you can see, it's very gappy here, which is super annoying, and this can kind of hinge up and down. It's super annoying. You can kind of just see into him, which I don't really like. But I love the painting on this little chest block. It's beautifully done. The metallics are done great. There are these little red details that just look amazing and just add that little bit of premiumness that really pushes him over the edge, in my opinion at least. Then you got the crotch. Yeah, Sid the Sloth. I don't care. I can see it, but I think it's a very well designed crotch. I think it's pretty accurate to some source material. I'm pretty sure it's more accurate to the toy though, because these have been amalgamations of the toy and mostly the original show model, but a lot of the toys in there as well. With the arm, we get to do something that we don't usually get to do. We get to look at a gimmick. But yeah, again, the shoulder pads I think are magnificently engineered. The way that they are able to hook in there and just kind of stay there, so that, because the way that the transformation is engineered, so that the shoulder pads can still stay out the whole time while they're also able to fold down. I think it's a great piece of engineering that I think they should use on more figures, but sadly don't. You know? The sidearm painting also looks very nice. The white and the red, the very high gloss look, makes it look more robotic and kind of allows it to contrast with the rest of the arm. The lower arm is the lower monkey arm. However, if you notice, there's a little block down here and a bunch of seam lines that don't really seem like they have purpose. You can push in on that block a little bit, and then from there I like to pull it out. And you got these little arm cannons, just like in the toy and in the show. Oh my goodness. For some reason, the Kingdom show, from what we've seen of it, he just holds a gun? Which seems like an odd choice when he has guns in his arms. And his shoulders. But his face looks worse than that anyways, so who cares? But I love this little feature. It's just a little bit of attention to detail to the original Primal toy and the original show model. That just really adds a lot of fun. Especially if, like, you're a kid, or even if you're an adult, just, like, freaking posing it around for pictures. It just looks great. And the hands, they're the same hands. We're not going to go too much more in depth. It's the same hands as the monkey mode. Moving on to the legs, they look pretty natural. Most of the differences are in the upper legs. I love the kind of way that the blue is cut out. It allows the thigh swivel to look very natural, but allows us to have this little bit of blue mechanicalism. I also love the white painting. Again, it has the same effect as the upper arms, so we're not going to go too much into depth with that, but it's fine. Lower legs are pretty similar until we get to this bit. I love this. It does hinder articulation, but looks-wise, it looks great. It looks like a nice little piston. It's done very well. Front of the feet, bit of a bland blue, but it's fine. The red paint here really does add a lot. But yeah, bland blue, it's fine. So yeah, overall, this figure looks freaking fantastic. It looks great. There is that annoying bit at the chest, But otherwise, I think he looks perfect. But yeah, moving on to accessories, other than a collector's card, which is weirdly done, because in Kingdom, you are randomly assigned a random collector's card. I've got like a bunch of Black Arachnias, a bunch of Dinobots. Well, I've got 2 Dinobots. I don't have too many Dinobots. A lot of people getting a lot of Dinobots. I only have like 2. But yeah, it's kind of randomly assigned. I got a couple Optimuses, a couple Arcs, you know? But yeah, it's randomly assigned, so I'm not really going to show it. It's like a sticker, you know, stuff like that. But the only other real accessory he comes with are his 2 swords. These are an accessory that I wish he had for a long time for a lot of other Primal figures. Mainly the one from Power of the Primes, but that guy was pretty cheap anyways. So they have 5mm pegs at the hands, which you can slide it into the hands like so. No real trouble. He's able to have his 2 swords and swing them around like so. However, you can see they got little pegs on the side of them, which allows you to peg them in to his back, like so, which is a very smart bit of storage. It allows him to reach back for him, which he can reach back for him in posing, which is very well designed, very well done. So we can just pick him up and wield him like the swords he is supposed to have. Again, this is a smart accessory as well. He already has his guns. He just needs a close range weapon, which would be his swords, you know? Good job, designers. While we're here at accessories, this doesn't technically come with him. However, his upper shoulder cannons are Siege Blast Effect compatible. I've got the Skylinks accessory here, but you can see, you can just peg it in right there, and it looks like he's shooting a blast out of his shoulder cannons. Very nice bit of line-wide compatibility, but he sadly doesn't have any 5mm ports, but I don't think it would really work with this look anyways, so it's fine. It's okay. But from there, now that we got all the gimmicks and all the weapons and accessories out of the way, we get to look at his articulation, which again, is pretty good. A lot of this is going to be very similar to the monkey mode, however, the head is a different part. It is on a ball joint this time, which allows it to look up that far, down that far, and allows it to swivel. Yeah. Very nicely done indeed, you know? It's a head. Moving on to the arms. I did not mention something in Beast Mode. This is the same in Beast Mode. He has a butterfly joint, which is able to help him with a lot of poses. It allows him to cross his arms across his chest, which I think is a very Optimus Primal pose. But yeah. Other than that, he has pretty basic shoulders. His shoulder pads aren't able to move in this mode anymore, but I don't mind, because they move pretty well and they don't get in the way too much. He's able to swivel all the way around. He's able to hinge his arm out that far, like a full 90 degrees. Again, bicep swivel. Single bend at the elbow, that does allow for a full, like 180 degrees, but it does get a bit unnatural down here, but that's fine. And then, again, he has a wrist swivel at the wrist, and he also has opening hands. Since he is a bit of a smaller Voyager, this is just kind of a trend. Because, you know, they're big monkey hands as well. So it's a cool little detail. No body articulation, but he does have a waist swivel, as per usual. He has universal joints at the hips, which allows him to kick forward that far, kick backward about that far, but his butt fur does get in the way, and he's able to hinge his legs out a decent amount, but not perfectly. It's fine. It's mainly his upper leg armor, like there, getting in the way of it. He does have a thigh swivel, though it is a bit limited. It's fine. He does have a single joint at the knee intentionally, but you can get a bit farther by unpegging the leg, which is a nice little detail. He does have a boot cut, though it is a bit limited, and this is kind of acts as a rail for the feet, which allows him to hinge forward a bit. Not hinge backward a bit, though that mainly just locks it into place. And it is able to do a nice little Kingdom pivot. It's a pivot. Ankle pivot. But yeah, like most of the War for Cybertron line, he is expertly articulated. I do wish he had a bit better ankle pivot, but again, it's a limitation of the way he's designed, so I'm not too mad. But yeah, I'm honestly really happy that this guy has as much articulation as he does, because mostly this kind of articulation is saved for normal G1 characters, because we don't really get the Beast Wars cast a lot, because they only really showed up in like one thing. So it's great that we're getting all these Beast Wars characters now, even though they keep on getting freaking Rob, whatever, the idiot, to play Primal. I mean, not in the new show, obviously. They don't have the budget for that. But in the movie, why? They better cast David Kaye as Megatron. Oh, we riot. We riot. We riot. But yeah. Again, no size comparison. Sorry. I might do a size comparison at the end of all the Beast Wars figures that I have so far. But yeah. I really like this figure, if you couldn't tell. It's great. It's got great sculpting, great articulation, a pretty good animal mode, but an amazing robot mode. And again, robot mode's mostly what I care about, so yeah, I really like him. I do recommend you pick him up. He is $30, and make sure you can try to find him at about that price, because I think that's a pretty fair price. He is a bit small though, so the people who are like, Voyager should be this big, might be a bit annoyed, but I don't mind. I feel like he's fully featured enough to make up for the price point. But yeah. Next time I should be covering a bit of a leader to fight against this guy. If you like this video, like, comment, subscribe, do all that YouTube stuff. I don't care. And yeah, I'll see you next time in the next little mini Beast Wars review. Bye-bye!